Hi and welcome to I Design My Life channel. So today we are going to continue from where we left in our last session. We are going to see the strategies which we can utilize to counter inferiority complex. So before we do that, let's quickly revise what we have done till now. Let us see how we develop inferiority complex in the first place. So we saw that inferiority complex could be developed in two ways. So it was a combination of external factors plus internal factors. So external factors were criticism and failure, and internal factors was our imagination. So it operates in two ways: criticism, failure operating with our imagination, as well as our imagination working on its own. So we'll take each of these one by one and we'll see what we can do about it. So let me take criticism first. See, criticism is something we just cannot control. It is always going to chase us, especially if we are trying to succeed or progress further in life. It will always stand on your doorsteps. It is something we just cannot control. It is something like you stepping out of your house and it's raining or it's a sunny day. You just can't complain about the weather. It is weather, it is going to happen. What you can control is what you do about it. If it is raining, then you go out, use an umbrella and get on with your business. And this is something we'll have to do with criticism as well. So what can we do about criticism? The thing we can do about criticism is how we respond to criticism. So there are two ways of responding to criticism. Either we feel bad about criticism and get into our shells, or we do something about it and get better with criticism. So the choice is entirely ours. And you can see, if we feel bad about ourselves, then that is not an ideal situation to be in, especially if we want to progress or succeed in life. So eventually the better choice is to do better. See what is it that can be improved. Take the criticism on your chin and say, all right, I accept it. Now, how can I get better? And then just do it. The second important factor is failure. See, I've worked with a lot of people and I've realized when people fail, they attach their self-worth to that failure. When they fail at a task, they feel that they have failed as a person. They have failed as a human being. Let me tell you, failure is not a certificate of your worth. It's just that you did not follow the process to succeed. Following the process is a choice. And you can just start succeeding whenever you believe that you can follow the process. And that's what failure is. However, I'm going to talk a little more about failure. So for conceptual purposes, I'm going to break failure into two parts and see it as two different entities. One failure is output failure and the other failure is the process failure. So what do I mean by an output failure? So an output failure is a failure of a kind where you fail in the end result. So what I mean is, let's say you went for a sales call to meet a client. However, you were not able to convert the client. Now, for you, it would be an output failure that the client did not get converted. There is another kind of failure, and that failure is a process failure. And what I mean by the process failure is, before going for the sales call, you actually carve down the steps which you need to take, which would give you the best chance to succeed. Now, you could fail at following this process, and that's what I mean failing at the process. It's a process failure. That means you knew the way to succeed, however you did not follow it. More often than not, I've seen people focusing on output failure. However, if you see, output failure is just beyond our control. You might do all the best things in the world, however, the result might not be in your favor. So what is in our control? The process is always in our control. So what I mean by this is, you can always lay down the steps which you need to take and which in your knowledge are the best steps for you to succeed and take you to a situation of a desired outcome. So if you follow the process A, B, C, D, E, it gives you a good chance. However, if you do not follow the process, then you might just fail. But the good thing is, you can always learn from that failure. You would know that I followed A, B, C, D, E, I failed, right. I might be missing a step F, So what I'll do is I'll just add this step F into it, and then I've got one another way of not failing, and then you go to the next one, and then you might succeed. If you fail, then you again learn from it. This concept is so important. Let me give you another example over here. So let's say you are a person who is going to go and get a deal with some senior professional in an organization. So you're not sure of the outcome, whether you're going to crack the deal or not. So that is an outcome I'm talking about. So what can you do? What you can do is you can create a process. You can create the steps to ensure that you give yourself the best chance to succeed in that deal. Now those steps are going to come by your best knowledge. And then what you have to do is just stick to it. What might happen is there's a good chance that the dice is going to roll in your favor. You might crack the deal. However, what might happen is it might just not roll in your favor. So what? You can learn from this process and add to this step. So next time when you're going, you know one more way how not to fail. And this is what I mean by sticking to the process and focusing on process failure. When you fail, you add a step to the process and then you move forward. Also remember, when you fail, it's not the end of the world. The sun is going to shine tomorrow again. You'll get up, you'll follow the process, and you'll succeed this time. I hope I'm able to explain this important point to you. So focus on the process. Process failure is where you should focus on, not the outcome failure. Now we come on to the next topic, which is imagination. This is very important because this is something which happens internally to us, and it stays with us for the entire day. Even when we are sleeping, we might have dreams. So dream is a kind of an imagination. So the question is, what triggers an imagination? And now I'm going to bring a very big word, and hear out for it. It's comparison. It's comparison. It is a very important word. Because the moment we get into a comparison trap, we are on a roller coaster ride. You see someone, he is inferior to us or he is not good as we are, we feel good about ourselves. Then we see someone who is better than us in some aspect of life, and then we feel inferior about it. So you see, it's a continuous moving wheel. Sometimes you feel superior, sometimes you feel inferior, and your emotions just run like this. So when you feel superior, it's a high. When you feel inferior, it's a low, high, low, and that's what you are trapped in. So there is a very important question, and that question is, why do we compare in the first place? Well, I believe that human beings, it is our need to be certain. So it's a need for certainty, and that is what we are seeking. So when we compare with someone, we try to assess our self-worth. However, the important question is it really a fair comparison? Now I'm going to ask you a very important question. Which one is better, a hammer or a screwdriver? Well, it depends on the purpose we're trying to solve. If we're trying to hammer a nail on the wall, then it's hammer. If you want to screw up something, then it's a screwdriver. So there is no question of which one is better, because both of them are built for a very different kind of a purpose. And we should apply this theory to us as well. We all are unique in ourselves. We have different environments in which we were brought up. We have different cultures. We have different parents. Our genetics are different. So there are so many things which make us unique. And when we compare ourselves to someone else, it's not a fair comparison. It's a comparison like you're trying to compare an orange with an apple. So we all are made for very different kind of purposes. So this comparison is not a nice thing to do. So if you see, comparison is something which is deeply ingrained in us. It has been conditioned in us by our parents, by our teachers, because you see everywhere, people comparing. Also, this social media has added to this effect as well. You see people, putting up their nice pictures, going on holidays, and you get a feeling, wow, this person is going on so many holidays. And look at me, what am I doing? So this comparison is deeply, deeply ingrained. We know that we are comparing, however, we are unable to stop comparing ourselves. How do we do that? That is a bigger question. And that's where this important thing called as awareness comes in. Now, awareness about what? Awareness about our thoughts, our feelings, awareness about ourselves that we are comparing now. And then once we start getting this trigger that we are comparing, then we can think about ways in which we can resolve things. So we can create coping strategies for us so that we do not fall into comparison trap. However, the better situation to be in is you do not compare at all. So there are two kinds of situation I'm talking over here. One is you realize that you've compared and then you have a coping mechanism and you deal with it. However, the higher solution is that you do not compare in the first place. How about that? And how is that going to come? This comes when you start accepting yourself. And that's where a very important concept or a question comes in. And this question is, who am I? We would be more than willing to help you out. So guys, work on yourself, invest on yourself, and say to yourself, I design my life.